welcome everybody to Drive Through Sports with Adam and Paul. Today is Wednesday, May the 13th, and we got a lot going on today. A little bit more in the news cycle of sports coming through. We want to encourage everybody to take a look at our background here and listen to us on all of our listening platforms: Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, iHeart, and Spotify, as well as follow us on Twitter at Thru Sports. And also subscribe on YouTube to our YouTube channel, Drive Through Sports, with Adam and Paul. And Paul, normally, I wouldn't brag, but I got to lead off tonight's show with just a miraculous happening today. As usual, I was relaxing a little bit today, playing some PGA Tour golf, and I would be remiss if I didn't say that I got my first hole-in-one with a 6-iron from about 180 yards out. And
I was going to say, if you wanted to relive that highlight, right, you can catch it on our Twitter.
That's correct. It is on our Twitter feed at Thru Sports. It is also on our YouTube channel. Feel free to give it a view, give it multiple views. Tell me what you think of that shot, because it's an absolute beauty.
Yeah, silky smooth.
Silk.
Right. A cup, about 3 hopper right into the cup.
Yeah, nice tempo on the backswing.
I'm going to say, the announcer did not seem as thrilled as I would have been.
No, he wasn't. Although he did say that we just witnessed history, and we did. First hole-in-one since I had gotten the game. So I may only be able to scratch double digits on a real course, but hey, I just drained one from 180. So ace.
Congratulations.
An ace. I'm gonna celebrate as long.
Drinks are on you, buddy.
That's right. Hopefully get a little traction with that video clip. It was really amazing how you just go through the game.
Yeah.
There's a button on the controller that, says share, and you link your accounts, and boom, all of a sudden this clip is all over social media. It's amazing. So could never do that with my Atari 2600. But anyway, so that gets us into our show. So Brees, how's everything going there? All the exams done?
Well, man, we've got one more, has to be done by midnight tonight.
Ouch.
And I'll be proud to say that I made a 96 on the sociology exam. So
Had a baby.
Yeah, it's amazing
baby.
What Google can do for you.
What's the subject matter tonight?
Western Civ.
Civvies, huh?
Yeah, I'm probably going to sit this one out. Put me on the IR for this one.
Yeah, you're going to skip the Incas and the Aztecs and the all the Central American civilizations. Yeah, those tend to all run together, especially when you talk about the ancient ones. Ella had a history class like that, and I thought it was going to kill all of us. It was a group effort, but we're excited to bring you guys some more sports tonight. We've got some great stuff on tap tonight. First things first, though, the return of the NBA. Now, a lot of I think 10 of the 30 franchises are now letting people in their facility to practice and work out at a distance. There's no scrimmaging or 5-on-5 or anything like that, but they're letting them go in, I'm assuming shoot, do drills, weight train, that sort of thing. That's a pretty good sign that the NBA is going to be coming back in some form or fashion. We don't know whether or not they're going to complete the regular season or if they're just going to go straight into the playoffs. But if you're an NBA fan, which I'm not, because the guy behind me is retired.
Yeah.
He was my guy, and we'll talk about it in just a minute. But, so, it's looking like there's hope possibly for the NBA. What do you think, Paul?
Yeah, they only had 18 regular season games remaining. And, now they've kind of are deciding, do we continue with the 18 regular season games, or will we do some kind of like play-in tournament and develop a 16-team playoff, something like that? Do we play in Orlando? Do we play in Las Vegas? There's even been mention that, if these two sites didn't work out, that Toronto could be an option as well. But either way, I think you're going to get some NBA action, and that's fantastic.
Yes, a moniker that was coined in the mid '80s when the NBA was kind of floundering. I mean, Jordan was great, but he was just a great scorer. He hadn't made that championship push yet, and it was basically it was Lakers, Celtics back and forth with the Rockets kind of sprinkled in there. But it just did not have the momentum that it has now and the star power that it. I mean, it may have had it, may have had the star power, but there was not the media. There was not the media attention to that. The TV deals weren't there. You were seeing NBA on CBS on Sunday, and that was about it. So, and it was typically a Lakers or Celtics or somebody like that. So, or Sixers at the time were pretty good with Dr. J. But I mean, it sounds like we're going to have that coming for moving forward in the future, that there's going to be a cap to the season. And we alluded last night, if they do start the season back again and have a playoffs and have a champion, is there going to be an asterisk to that champion? And I don't know if we ever actually really addressed that, or if we actually said one way or another. I think there will be, because the asterisk will be 58 game regular season, or something along the season was only 58 games, that something like that,
right?
Because in reality, it looks like you're going to go through the regular playoff gauntlet. So it's not like they're eliminating a round of the playoffs. So it looks like you're still going to go 1 through 8. So I think whoever wins this year is going to be a legitimate champion, because you've got 3/4 of the season already in the bag.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. You know what? I think the NBA is going to do whatever they can to make sure the Lakers are in the finals.
Yeah.
If they cannot generate revenue from fans in the stands, they've got to generate that money, in the market areas of LA or whatever, and the TV revenue as well. So if there was one sport, and we could talk about this in a later date, that I'm a conspiracy theorist on, the NBA is rigged, if you want to say it that way, I would feel the NBA would be the top sport that that the higher ups could control the outcome.
Yeah. And we had a whole episode on it last night about the NBA draft and trying to bring a quality player to the Knicks, the largest market in the nation. So
it was brought to my attention by a fan of the show. Patrick Ewing never did deliver a championship to this city and great state of New York. So
if he could have made a layup, he would have.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Speaking of sinners.
Yeah. Speaking of sinners, let's talk about the top 10 all-time NBA players. That's on our tonight's hot takes. We've looked at I've looked at the list. I've looked over the list, and I understand that Shaq has 4 titles.
Yes,
Lakers.
3-time Finals MVP.
Yeah, missed out on. I think he should have had a title in Orlando. If Nick Anderson could hit a free throw, he would have.
Right.
It's just kind of weird how the things shake out. But I think of all, I don't dislike Shaq. I just don't know if, where's Jerry West on this list?
Yeah.
Here's, you look at these guys, and really only Wilt Chamberlain and Bill Russell are really your old school guys. And Jerry West was one of the best. Bob Cousy, not in the top 10. So,
obviously this top 10 list, is going to have a little bit of a newer school feel to it. But you realize that, well, they did put some thought about it because they put Kobe at number 9. And if you ask anybody 30 or under, 35 or under, if you think Kobe was a top 10, they'd probably put him at 3.
I
4,
would say they
5.
would put him at 3. Yeah.
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 So,
Yeah. I totally agree with that assessment. I think, let's just run it down. I got Shaq at 10, Kobe at 9, Tim Duncan at 8, Bird 7, Wilt 6, Magic number 5, Bill Russell 4, Kareem 3, LeBron 2, and of course MJ 1. If there's anybody that I think could move around, I mean Duncan. He's got 5 titles. I mean, he's got more titles than Bird. He's got more titles than Magic. He's got more titles than LeBron. Different type of player, post player, a little bit different skill set, but man, he was just dominant. It seems like once he shook off that loss in the Sweet 16 to the Cats back in '93 when they got blown out at Wake Forest, his career just took off.
Yeah.
But the other ones, I think the top 6. Obviously, there's no doubt one that's a no-brainer. Kareem at 3, the all-time leading scorer. And actually, interesting fact about Kareem, he has 6 MVPs, one more than Michael.
Yeah. Hey,
and,
19-time All-Star?
19-time, 20 career, 19-time All-Star. Amazing. 10 first-team All-NBAs he had.
Right.
Just incredible career. And I loved watching him and Magic and the Showtime Lakers. That was my team back in the day.
Well, you talked about a little bit last night that you had mentioned the disappearance of the big man.
Yeah.
And so when we were growing up, it was all about the big man.
It was all inside. It was all post. And if you had that guy that you could just feed it into, that was the game. The 3-point shot, was not nearly what it is today. You had 1 or 2 guys on your team that could shoot it. Maybe one, like your point guard, like a Mark Price or somebody like that would be your designated 3. Now you got 4s taking 3s. You got centers taking 3s. It's just a totally different game. And look at this list. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 centers of the top 10 all time. And also missing here, David Robinson.
I love the Admiral.
Loved watching him, man. Loved watching him play. Again, multiple titles for him. So, I think it's a pretty good list. It's going to be a good list as long as you start it with Jordan, I feel like. And LeBron, he's got what, 3 titles? Is that right? He's 3 and 6 in the finals.
Yeah.
So, probably should have 6 titles. I feel like. I don't feel like that Miami team should have lost to Dallas. They should have won that series, I feel like. And I think there was another one, a couple other ones that I think he probably should have won. But Kyrie doesn't get hurt. They probably have a better shot at winning that series.
Yeah.
But that's sports, man. That's just the way the ball bounces sometimes. And but what do you think about the overall list itself? Wilt, I think because he played so long ago, gets lost. And I think people that like us that are our age, we can't comprehend how dominant he was and how good he was in every facet of the game. He wasn't just 7'1". He was 7'1", athletic, could shoot. I mean, he could do everything. And in that era of basketball, there was nobody that could match up with him.
Correct. He
Uh,
was the guy, that was a definite mismatch. And
oh yeah,
you talked about guys coming straight out of high school that are going to be the guy, like Kobe or LeBron. Well, Wilt was that guy back in that
yeah,
day.
yeah, most definitely. And just getting to watch like old footage of him playing, it's a man amongst boys, really.
Right.
And I think he even played back when there was no dunking allowed.
You know what? That does sound familiar.
Early in his career. So there's several, video clips of him with his hand a foot above the rim, just dropping the ball in the goal. And hey, there's no dunking. So
that's like the old pregame, no pregame dunking, or
no pregame dunking, or it's a tee.
Yeah,
Brees will tee up. But yeah, I think this. I guess what the problem I have with Shaq being in the top 10 is I don't think he's a complete player. That's why I have a problem with him being in the top 10. He can't shoot free throws, and I mean, and he can't shoot free throws. Yes, he can rebound, block shots, and score, but he can score from 6 feet in. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, not that I don't respect his 5 titles, but I just don't think he's as complete a player as maybe some people that he jumped over. I mean, again, I mentioned Jerry West. Jerry West is probably one of the best shooters. I mean, he's the logo, for crying out loud, right?
Yeah.
There's a reason why he's the logo.
Yeah.
Right? So his silhouette. But I guess Shaq is really the only one I have an issue with here. I would probably put somebody like a Jerry West or somebody like that.
Always number 10 is always going to be that the easiest.
Yeah, the easy one to bump. Yeah, and all you have to do is, watch, footage of Bird to see how just like magical he was with the basketball.
Right.
Just passing the ball, eyes in the back of his head, could shoot the lights out. And early in his career, he was very athletic. He could jump and dunk, and then he started having some back issues and knee problems near the end of his career. But it's a pretty good list. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with 90% of it.
There you go. That's still an A.
That's all right. I can deal with that. I can deal with the 90%. All right.
That's an A.
That's an A. That is an A. Absolutely. Well, let's go and talk about top transfer quarterbacks in college football for this upcoming season, which we don't know what that's going to look like. And if you are a college athlete in the state of California, you really don't know what it's going to look like.
Get out.
Yeah. And you said the MAC, I also heard today, was canceling tournaments in 8 different sports in an effort to save money.
Yeah, the Mountain West.
Is it Mountain West or the MAC? Mountain West.
MAC is the
Mid-Atlantic.
The Mid-Atlantic, like Toledo, Miami of Ohio.
Okay. Yeah. So it was the MAC that was thinking about doing that. So
okay, wow.
Yeah. So you don't think about this stuff, but how does that figure in with like Title IX and all that sort of stuff, the legal ramifications of that? Again, we're in uncharted waters here when it comes to how they're going to handle this, because revenues are going to be obliterated for college sports. And if you can't, like California is saying, shelter in place till August 1st, you're not sending kids back. You can't have, it's the whole state. You can't have UCLA. You can't have USC, San Diego State, San Jose State. And what was the other one you said? California State, Fresno State.
Yeah.
So, those are perennial bowl teams. Those
3 of those teams make up I wouldn't say a very powerful conference, but those are the kind of teams that you need to, help each other out. The SEC, you probably could do it on your own. They don't need much help as far as but more strength in numbers. That those smaller conferences definitely need those.
Yeah, they need the Mountain West
cooperating.
needs a Fresno State and a San Diego State, which again had a great basketball season this year, but they have produced some pretty good talent football wise in the last 4 or 5 years as well. But talking about these transfer quarterbacks, the top one is in my state, according to most of the pundits. Jamie Newman from Wake Forest transferred into Georgia. Fromm leaves, goes to the NFL, and Jamie Newman comes in, and he's touted as being able to take over the reins and get Georgia to where they haven't been able to get to.
Let me ask you this question, Adam. I mean, Fromm was gone, right? Eason had transferred. I mean, who was supposed to be the guy in line? Do we have a name?
Oh goodness, I want to say
Who was the guy playing the junk time last year for the Bulldogs?
I'm trying to think of his name right now. Goodness gracious, I want to say he was a walk-on.
Yeah. So, Jamie Newman, the guy you mentioned that's from Wake Forest. I mean,
Stetson Bennett.
Okay.
Yeah,
this guy's he's available immediately. Like his eligibility has been like, right? Is he a fifth year? Is that how he's classified?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well.
So.
Yeah, I mean,
the interesting
have guys like that land in your lap.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice. The interesting ones to me, obviously, I have a vested interest because I'm a Kentucky fan. Joey Gatewood is going to have to sit out this year, which is fine because Terry Wilson is supposed to be back healthy to take him through this season. And then Joey Gatewood, who was coming out, he was the number one dual threat quarterback when he came out. Went to Auburn, didn't work out. Patrick Nix, it seems like, has solidified himself after a really solid freshman year that he's going to be the guy for at least the next 2 years. So Gatewood bolts, goes to Kentucky. I think with his athleticism, I think he can be a really good addition to that offense once Wilson leaves, because people don't understand about Terry Wilson. When they did their conditioning or their spring practice last year, he was the fastest player on the team at quarterback, which a lot of people probably don't know that. But so I'm interested to see what Gatewood could bring. I know your guy is right behind you there, JT Daniels. He is undecided. Am I correct?
Yeah, he's still, and there's a chance he may not be eligible, depending on how the NCAA rules. I mean, or where he ends up.
Right. Now, are you hoping he ends up in Knoxville, or do y'all have a quarterback?
I mean, do we have a quarterback? I mean, Jared Garantano. This guy is. It seems like he's been there. He started as like a freshman. Now he's a senior. We're trying to say, hey, we opened the door for him and said, you want to transfer? Go back to your home in West Virginia or wherever you're from, and you want to transfer? God bless you, son. Have a good career. But he is sticking it out apparently.
Oh wow!
And I think here's how I think it played out is if you're a Tennessee fan, you'll know that they were going to go through spring practice, and they got Harrison Bailey coming in.
He's a stud now,
and they were going to see how he had adapted, because I think he was an early enrollee in January.
Yes.
So if he would have had the upper hand and Garantano could see the writing on the wall, I think that would have been the easy exit. But now that we may not get an answer until August, You know,
Yeah.
Tennessee's got a lot of quarterback options, but Harrison Bailey's who I'm riding with.
Harrison Bailey is good now. I mean, he can flat out play, and I mean, he led Marietta to his first state championship in over 50 years this past fall. Marietta, storied football program, produced guys like Derek Tinsley, who went to UT, Eric Zier, who was at Georgia.
Yeah,
You know, they can put out some guys now, and they got some dudes. They got Eric Gilbert, who's the number one player, Gatorade Player of the Year. He's going to LSU along with another one of their wide receivers. He is an absolute man, and he will fit right in down there on the bayou with Coach O.
yeah.
But some other interesting ones that
Oh,
are
yeah.
on this list.
Let me know who you got because I've got a few that I'd like to throw at you.
Okay, I mean, one that was interesting. Two of them were quarterbacks that transferred out of the SEC.
Right.
Or excuse me, one transferred within the SEC and one transferred out. You had Felipe Franks going from Florida to Arkansas as
Right.
as a fifth-year guy, which
Correct.
I don't quite understand. Who's the guy behind him that's pushing him out?
Hang on. I'll have to look it up. It's
But the other guy is Jake Bentley,
Jake Bentley. That's right, South Carolina.
South Carolina, who's going to Utah. And Jake Bentley just unfortunately got hurt, and the kid that came in and stepped in played really well. And so Jake Bentley is gonna take his game to are they Pac-12 or are they Mountain West? Mountain West.
Yeah. Kyle Trask. That's who it is.
Kyle Trask. Yeah.
I don't know.
He killed the Kentucky, man. Gosh. Oh, I was like, oh, good. You know, we knocked Felipe Franks out. And then this guy walks up and throws like 3 touchdowns. I was like, what? But yeah, those two guys were kind of surprising. And then your guy Cutcliffe.
That's the one I was going to throw at you.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. Yeah.
Clemson backup, right?
Yep.
He actually got in a game when Trevor Lawrence got hurt and led them back to victory.
Saved their season, really.
Yeah. And now he's going to Duke, who I think, and you know as well, Cutcliffe, quarterback coaching guru. I mean, the guy knows what to do. And, the kid at the place for the New York Giants right now is Daniel Jones.
Jones, yeah.
Yeah, another Cutcliffe guy. So.
Yep. Manning. I mean, pretty good.
Both of them.
Both Mannings.
Yeah.
Daniel Jones, who was a top 10 pick. So yeah, man, that's he's got the pedigree for sure, and you never know. I mean, he's got the skills. He's just never going to play. He's not going to play at all next year with Lawrence because that's going to be his swan song. He's going to be gone. He's going to be the number 1 pick next year in the NFL draft. I think just with his overall skill set, and they may win another national championship next year. I don't know, but Chase Bryce is out at Clemson, so it's kind of interesting. And you talk about the Garantano thing with this new kid coming in, Harrison Bailey, the spring practice. Well, nobody had spring practice.
Right.
There were no G Day, no spring games, nothing. I mean, these guys have literally been. I mean, can you imagine? Even when football comes back, it's not going to be the same. It's going to be pretty bad.
Yeah, it's going to take in my opinion, it's going to take about 3 weeks to get.
Yeah, I mean, these guys are used to such a regimented schedule, and then you just say, "Oh, you can't come to the facility. Everything's online." And so what do? They continue to eat the way they've eaten. And unless they're disciplined, unless they're intrinsically motivated and they're training, on their own, they're going to be, these linemen. Just think about these linemen, man. I mean, and linebackers. These and even the skill position guys. Um, they've got to. I mean, they're finely tuned athletes that are used to working out every single day with maybe one rest day. In the off season built in there.
Well, that's where you have to find that good leader on the team that can get small groups together at certain times. But yeah, you talked about the eating thing. If in their mind they don't think they're going to play at the next level, it's
Oh,
Big Mac City.
yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
I just feel like that's going to be a huge, huge struggle and hurdle for the strength and conditioning coaches when they come back. They're going to get these guys, and they're going to be like, "Oh my goodness, what are we going to do with you? Because now you're not as fast as you were, you're not as strong as you were, you have no endurance because you haven't been being pushed. Because a lot of these guys need to get pushed,
right.
And that happens in practice. It doesn't, if given to their own wiles, they're not going to push themselves. So it's the guys that are internally driven, intrinsically motivated, that are going to be successful come the fall, and they're going to not have as large of a lag time or as much of a decrease in their fitness. And to some of their credit, some of them may be even better off. Some of them may come back even better being left on their own. But again, that's going to be a very small percentage of guys. I just think you're going to see some bad football for the first month of the season.
Almost XFL-ish.
Yes. Yes. First version of XFL.
If you're a sports gambler, always take the under for the first couple of weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's probably a pretty safe bet. Well, that gets us through our sports portion of our hot takes. Now, this last hot take was one that I picked up on a good buddy of mine, a good friend of both of ours, Josh Jackson.
Friend of the show.
Yep, friend of Drive Thru Sports, and frequent listener, and poster. He actually started a thread that I got onto about favorite cereals. And I thought, well, this is intriguing because everybody has a favorite cereal growing up.
Sure.
Or you have that cereal that your mom will never let you get, right? Okay. For me, I loved Lucky Charms because of the marshmallows. And you get them just the right amount of soaked in the milk.
Yeah, they're magically delicious.
They're magically delicious. Everybody knows. And you can't find them at the end of a rainbow. I know we think as kids you could find them at a big pot of gold with Lucky Charms at the end of the rainbow. You can't do that. And, they tempt you with the prizes and all this stuff, but it was more about the commercials and the characters than it was about the cereal itself. Now, case in point, another cereal that I would beg my mom to buy was, and you probably remember these, I don't even know if they still make these. There were 3 characters. There was Count Chocula, Frankenberry, and Boo Berry.
Okay.
I always wanted Boo Berry because the box was white and blue. That's the only reason I wanted it. I don't even think it tasted that good, but I didn't care. And so I maybe remember getting Boo Berry a couple times when I was a kid, but it was Lucky Charms and Boo Berry. And then of course, they got, then Wheaties came along and started putting athletes on their boxes.
Yep.
And I can remember very vividly in 1976 when Bruce Jenner won the decathlon gold medal, he was on the Wheaties box, right? So we're going through the grocery store, Safeway or whatever, in Paducah, Kentucky, and I see Bruce Jenner on this cereal box, and I beg my mom to get me a box of Wheaties, and I about pitch a fit in the store, which I didn't really do that a whole lot, but I think I was 5, so I get a pass on that. So I managed to break her down, and she got me a box of Wheaties. And I couldn't wait to get home to eat these Wheaties. and they were the worst things I'd ever put in my mouth. And I had to have Wheaties every morning until that box was gone. So I'll never forget that. But it was not my favorite cereal, but it was a cereal lesson that I learned. If I had to choose, I would still to this day pick either Lucky Charms or Frosted Flakes. I could eat those for days.
Yeah.
What about you?
So quick story. Let's just say that you have a stomach bug, and then you eat a meal, and then after you have that stomach bug, you're like, I can't look at that anymore. I can't eat it, even though it had nothing really to do with 99% of what you ate.
It's all mental.
Fruit Loops. I got sick on Fruit Loops. I felt I was a pretty okay guy with Fruit Loops. And then after I got sick on them, swore them off, never went back. So I picked up Rice Krispies, and Frosted Flakes was my go-to.
Yes.
Now, if I could have one that my mom would never or rarely let me have, it was the Flintstones. The Flintstone cereal.
With the different colored.
There was Fred, and then Barney had like a chocolate flavor one.
Okay.
But what you may have
fruity pebbles. Fruity Pebbles. Is that what it was? Fruity Pebbles. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So what you may not have mentioned, I'm not 100% sure, is back when we were growing up, there were actually prizes in the cereal boxes.
Decent ones too, we thought.
Yeah, not bad. And it was always you would pour the box and you couldn't get it, and then you'd reach your hand down there and just try to dig it out. And sometimes it was baseball cards.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly. So
yeah, that's true.
A lot of my choices were based on the prizes.
Yes.
What was in the cereal box?
Not so much the actual food. Well, it's interesting that you mentioned the baseball cards part, because in the 70s, Hostess on their cupcakes and Twinkies and Ding Dongs and stuff like that, they would have baseball cards on the back of the box.
That's right.
Go home and cut out. Well, I'd go into the store and I'd wreck the display looking for the best cards.
Nice.
So I'd look for the best players, and if Mom said, "Hey, you can have a box of Ding Dongs," which was great, I would be like, "Okay, I've got the clearance to go just ransack this whole display to find the best card combination," because you always had a couple of scrubs with one good player,
right,
or 3 cards. And if we know what we know now, we wouldn't have cut them out. We just left them on the box, because you cut them out, and you cut them out all crooked and everything. And I can guarantee you, I've still got a few of those cards somewhere in my house in a box somewhere. But yeah, man, we would go into the grocery store. I mean, it was a different experience, man, back then.
You talk about the Wheaties box. I actually have a full box of Wheaties with Larry Bird on it that's sitting in my office right now. And after hearing that story of you and your Wheaties experience, that I will never try it ever.
No, they're listen. Think about eating Frosted Flakes with no frosted.
That's no good.
It's horrible. It is so bad. Like, they're so bad. Like, the milk won't even absorb into them. They're so bad. Oh, it's horrible. They're just.
Well, I'll tell you what's not disgusting. Thru Sports. Fantastic segue, right?
A great segue to wrapping up our program tonight. Again, we encourage you guys to check us out. Check out our YouTube channel. Subscribe to that, as well as listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeart, and Spotify. And follow us on Twitter at DriveThru Sports. You'll see here there's also a upcoming episode that you can click on, one that we think you might like, as well as if you click on our pictures down here, you will be able to subscribe right from this video. Makes it nice and easy. So for Paul Brees, I'm Adam Freeman, and you've been listening to Drive Through Sports with Adam and Paul.